It was even to the point where if, like, I would eat meals in the bathroom because if my uncle, like, basically they'd be like, well, if you pass by your uncle, then you will upset him. So you have to basically hide in the bathroom and eat your meals.
You mentioned very early in the conversation that you would get together on like Christmas with the family, and now you're mentioning that your grandma would send you an Easter basket. So these
Right.
are Christian holidays that are being
Mm.
celebrated in some way. Did you ever wonder like what that was? Like, oh, what's Christmas? What's Easter?
So for sure, but I was like, I would have to be like a moron to question it vocally because I was like, this is what I'm looking forward to. I will not, I don't want to cause any trouble there.
No more Christmas for you.
Exactly. Like I wasn't going to complain. I was just like, awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you had said you got really close with your grandma during this time. I see why. Obviously, like she was there and the one of the few people there, and like you're looking forward to spending time with her. But did you ever have any deep conversations with her about Scientology itself?
So she would occasionally say things to me, like little complaints. Like she would be like she would say, like my Aunt Shelley would try to recruit my cousins for the Sea Org, and she'd be like, she's not very nice, you know. She was mean to your cousin, and I didn't like it. And I would just be like, Like
Don't talk about Shelley that
I would just
way.
act like she didn't say anything. Or she would like sort of like, she had like previous to Scientology, she had been a nurse, but for some reason they wouldn't let her be a nurse because I guess maybe they thought that it would like have some sort of liability if something went wrong. I don't really know why, but she'd be like, Dave won't let me be a nurse. I don't really know why. It's all I want to do is be a nurse. Or she would just like complain about certain things like, you know, like her exercise program would be run by like the highest level, like the people who worked for my uncle. And she was like, well, I don't want them to control what I eat and my exercise, because she was like a little bit overweight. So I think it was seen as like bad PR for the family. Well, there was a lot of that. Like I had like bad skin when I was a teenager.
That's bad PR.
It was like literally Shelley told me, she was like, you need to go get your skin treated. Otherwise you're going to have to change your name. And it was already,
imagine. Oh my God.
I mean, at the time I was like, fair point. But now that's like how brainwashed I was. But now as a mom, and I have to put my kid's face on mine, or put like to see it like that. Because when I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm fine. But but when I put my kid in my position, I get disgusted and pissed off, and I can see it for what it is. But that's kind of weirdly the only way I really can.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like you're going to spend, I would imagine, like throughout your life, there's always going to be something in there that gets deprogrammed, right? As you see new things that you didn't see as a kid. Like, it could be random little things. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. It could be 30 years later, you know, since you left, and you'll be finding things.
All the time. I mean, we have that all the time. Like, just something will happen. We'll be like, God, I never really like thought that this way of thinking was from Scientology. Yeah. And yeah, it's kind of nice when that happens, because it's like, you know, I guess on some level it's going to take, I mean, I still was there for more time than I've been out. And so it's like, so you can't undo all that in a second. Sometimes it will take just as long for everything to go away as you were in there, you know?
Did you know who like the president was when you were in there?
I did, yeah.
Did you know what he was? Like what it meant?
Not too much, no. I was just like, he's the president.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking a random question, like all these little things I take for granted. They're like,
no, but like I was totally out of touch with that or anything. Like that just seemed like the fake world. Yeah. And I was in the real world.
Yeah. Who's this George W. guy? God damn it. Why are we going to Iraq? What's Iraq? So when you were 16 and you stopped doing the training,
Mm-hmm.
What did they do with you after that?
So, so all of a sudden I was like sort of like taken out of my daily work and I was started being interrogated, which was a regular occurrence for me. I was always interrogated, but I was being interrogated by like the most senior person on the base. She was in the same organization as my uncle, and I was just getting asked all these questions, and I was was on watch day and night, so meaning somebody would sit outside my door to make sure I didn't leave. I didn't try to escape, and I was like in a so when I wasn't being interrogated, I was scrubbing the bathroom and like or listening to L. Ron Hubbard lectures that were all about how you have to confess to all the bad things that you've done or else you'll become like a horrible person and go into some anyways, whatever. So
that'd just be playing in the background.
well, I had a period where I would listen to those lectures and then I would be scrubbing the bathroom and then I would be getting interrogated. And then I wasn't allowed to talk to any of my friends. I was moved into a separate room and like it was even to the point where if like I would eat meals in the bathroom because if my uncle like basically they'd be like, well, if you pass by your uncle, then you will upset him. So you have to basically hide in the bathroom and eat your meals. That wasn't every time, but that was like I would say at least a third of the time. And I didn't really know why. I mean, it wound up being because my parents had left the Sea Org, but I didn't know why until after like a month or two of this, I was randomly brought to LA without saying goodbye to any of my friends or my grandma. And I was like I was put on a plane. I was told I was going back to the international base, but it wound up being brought to a building on Hollywood Boulevard. I went to the top floor, and then Mike Rinder and Marty Rathbun, who were very high officials in Scientology, I was put in that room, and then I waited for like seriously like 4 hours for them to come into the room. And then when they finally came in, they basically told me that my parents had left the Sea Org and they were living in Mexico and they wanted me to go with them. And I was like leaving now. And
they left the Sea Org, but not Scientology.
Right. And he was like, I was like, well, are they declared suppressive persons? And he was like, no, blah, blah. And I was like, be real. And he was like, well, yeah, if you leave the Sea Org from the international base, you're automatically declared a suppressive person. But because it would be bad PR for the family, they're not going to be like issuing a declare order on them like they would for anyone else. So,
whoa.
And so I was like, so basically, if I go with them, then I'll be declared. And he's like, well, we won't be issuing anything, but yeah, it will basically be the same as being declared. Like he was like leveling with me. And I had dealt with Marty over the years because of different things with my mom and whatever. And so I think that like on some level he was doing me a favor. That's how I thought, by being real with me. And then so like...
You're still so young too.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
You're not like 35 years old or something. You're still essentially a kid.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, and by the way, all those years that I was in Clearwater, we went to school at the Scientology cadet location for 1 day a week. And still no grades. Like so there was like essentially no schooling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like I was educated on the world or anything around me. So that, to me, the idea of going to Mexico and going to a public school. So it's, for one thing, it's like a country where I don't speak the language. It's somewhere where I've never been.
Do you know what Mexico was?
I mean, only knew because there was lots of Mexican people who were training in Florida when I was there. And so they would like tell me about their country. And I was always hearing about someone's country and how beautiful they were. Well, because most of them weren't Sea Org members. They were staff members. So even though they were getting paid nothing, like they at least like maybe had grown up in the regular world a little bit. And they had like, I don't know, they had a chance to see their country, I guess. Like, unlike me.
Mexicans and you don't think about that.
So many.
Yeah,
Oh.
so many Mexicans
Yeah.
in Scientology.
So many Mexicans in Scientology.
Really?
Largely
Absolutely.
because they want to come to the United States, and you can get a religious visa.
It's
So
true.
they don't actually believe it. Like, we will do the landscaping way. Oh my God.
So a lot of them, like maybe not the ones that were in training, but they wound up working for the hotels that I
Yeah.
later was running programs into. But not like Russians, Romanians, Hungarians, Australians, British people, like from all over the world.
So at least I gave you a concept that there's, these places out there.
Yeah, almost that was
some-
like that was like my only concept, kind of. Like
but it's something.
Yeah, and it was kind of actually that part of it I later missed when I left Scientology a little bit, when I was just like it was like this feeling that I had friends or knew people all around the world. But then, I could never talk to or see those people before. I mean, again. So, yeah. But anyways, so so the idea of going to Mexico with my parents, who I now had maybe only seen once in the last 5 years. And those 5 years, meaning those years last forever when you're that age.
Yeah.
Like 5 years can go by in 2 seconds now that I'm this age. But at that time, that's like everything. That's your whole puberty. That's like, it seems like forever.
What year is this meeting with Rathbun in LA and Linder?
It is, I think, at the end of 2000.
So this is when, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so at that point I was like, well, no, I don't want to leave. I was like, I'm never going to see any of my friends again. I'm never going to see my grandma. I'm never going to, I don't want to go. In my mind, I would be so behind in school that it would be totally embarrassing. And then they were going to try to inject me with drugs. I don't know that. And I would I would just never be able to see anybody who I knew or cared about again.
So you had a concept, though, that you'd be behind in school.
Yes. Yeah.
So even though you really hadn't been on the outside, you already understood that the education you had received, big air quotes there, was shit.
Yes. Yeah.
That's impressive.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take being behind in school as being impressive.
Yeah. No, seriously, because you don't know, you've never been in one.
Right.
What do you? I don't know how. I don't think I would ever think that in your position, because I'd assume my school. I'm like, well, they probably do it different out there, but I learned.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. So I just thought it would just be and then it was with my parents, who basically at this point I didn't really know.
Yeah.
Or care too much about. I definitely didn't hate them, and I would have wanted them to be happy, but it was I didn't even.
You didn't really care.
Yeah. They were just other people who kind of on some level, my family just caused me problems. So in my world, I was friends with all these people, and my job was what it was. And in everyone else's mind, everything I did was bad PR for my family. And it was this whole narrative always being projected onto me. But I didn't get the benefits of being in this family. I wasn't really losing anything by not being a part of that family. I didn't get anything from it. It was just what everyone else thought when they looked at me, because my name is Miscavige.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.